Pace 1126. By the time you get to this pace, it looks like you're about halfway through the third level of English. And this pace does a lot more with writing skills and is a lot more intensive, a lot of assignments. Initially, the first part of the pace before we get to essays is going to talk about writing paragraphs and explaining how expository paragraphs are written, narrative, descriptive, and persuasive. And each one is developed in a different way, using different types of material, and each one has a slightly different purpose. And now when we get to the end of the pace, we're going to talk about essays. Think of an essay as taking kind of like the idea of one of those short paragraphs, a shorter composition, and it's kind of halfway between that and writing a research paper. So let's pretend like a research paper is like 5 to 10 pages long. And you're going to get to do one of those at the end of this course. And you're going to do another one when you get to the end of level 4 and then actually turn that into a speech. Okay, so we're kind of building up to this. So this should be a longer writing assignment when we get to page 24. Now let me give you some tips. Let's point out a couple of the highlights here on page 23. And they have a picture here of a train, okay? And in this paragraph, and it's important to read this, it points out that the essay is kind of like an expanded paragraph. So you could take one of the paragraphs that you've written about already in this pace and say, you know what, that is a topic that I am knowledgeable about, and I really could take each of those reasons that I gave and expand on that even more and write a longer paper on that and show that I am more knowledgeable or an expert or that I'm interested in that topic. So the first paragraph, then a whole paragraph, not just a sentence, but the whole first paragraph is going to be like an introduction. And in there you want to give your topic sentence, your thesis, I should say, your thesis, so that somebody reading it immediately knows where you're headed. You're going to introduce your main arguments that you're going to give, okay, or the main examples or facts, whatever. And then you're going to, at the very end, summarize it again. So you're going to word it in a different way, but use material that you developed throughout the body of this writing assignment, and then restate your thesis and be very persuasive and clear that this is what I was trying to write about, okay? Then all the paragraphs in between, so if you picture it like a train, you have the engine and the caboose. Those are both summaries, introduction, and expanded at the end. But then in between is the body, okay, the content. And it can be developed in several ways. Maybe one of these is descriptive, maybe another is expository, another is persuasive, okay? Maybe all three of them are persuasive and you're giving different reasons, and then you're going to develop it a little bit more, all right? These usually include a lot of material that you're already familiar with, okay? You don't want to spend a lot of time researching, but in order to make this long enough and thorough enough, you probably do need to do some research. And even if it's just a couple of sources, of course, again, be careful not to get everything from just Wikipedia. Find some good sources. It could be interviews with somebody. That would be a good source. Or a good book from the library. There might be some reputable websites that you could use. But research your topic a little more to add that to the body of your content. All right, so then on page 24, it says take one of the paragraphs and expand it into a short essay, okay? So look back through the assignments you were earlier in this pace, find one that interested you, say, I could expand on that. So this one is just making it a little longer. I would recommend typing it, okay? And make your edits on the computer, print out a final draft that you can staple in here. Then as we move through pages 25 and moving on, they're building up to you writing this longer essay. Think of it as a small research paper or term paper, okay? 2, 3, 4 pages long. Not super long, but not just a one-page essay, okay? A little longer. And might be helpful to look through. It says magazines, encyclopedias, websites, etc., to get ideas. They give some suggestions. Maybe this is a good one to talk over with your parents, your supervisor, and they can give you some ideas. A couple years ago, I had a boy who really was good at basketball, wrote an essay and talked about some of the different skills and techniques and some people who use them, and really made it an interesting paper, but it was definitely a topic that he was already interested in. And maybe if you're a guy, there's something related to cars or sports or something along that line that you would like to use, okay? Then you just keep developing the same topic. As you're moving along, you're coming up with note cards and coming up with a main outline, you're revising it, okay? Then when you get to page 29, it says you're ready to write. It says the hard work is probably already behind you. Well, part of it, okay? Writing is a challenge sometimes. But if you've done the research and you've come up with the outline, this shouldn't be too hard. You already kind of know where you're headed with it. You've narrowed your topic and you've researched it and you know a lot about it, and now you're ready to write, okay? Follow the directions here, and if for some reason your essay really does not need any research and you did not need to add things from other sources, then you don't need a bibliography. But I would like to, and I encourage students to include a couple of things from other sources so that they're getting used to doing this, because this will prepare you for at the end of this year and then again for next year when you have to write a longer research paper and you are required to have note cards. So here's space for a final draft on page 30, and if you type it and you have a final draft, you can show your supervisor. Like I said, here that's 2 pages long, and I would think 2 to 3 pages would be a good length, and typed, double-spaced, and then include a good title and bibliography at the end if that's needed. So make sure you choose a topic you enjoy, okay? Because it'll make it a lot more fun, and you'll learn some things. And you don't know everything, okay? You might know a lot about a topic, but I'm sure there's something you could add to that by researching it, and then make it something interesting that others would enjoy reading as well.